Petrie out of Baylor is another type of guy, more of a safety slot corner type of player, but a very defined role where you can see what you can do with him, and was one of the funnest players to watch down in the Senior Bowl. I remember this, and he's smaller. He's a smaller safety. Most of the guys, you think of the safety as the bigger corners, right? Guys that'll hit you. He's not a bigger corner. He's
Right.
fairly small. But he was punching everybody in the mouth. He was making everybody hurt every time they did blocking drills. The only guy that was able to push him around was Trey McBride, who is a tight end and significantly larger. I think he has 40 or 50 pounds on Petrie. So those are the guys I think you might look out for in your day 2, early day 3 type of group.
Yeah, Petrie, a lot of times when I was doing the mock drafts at the beginning of this whole thing through PFF, he was coming up a lot. And that's where he got him on my radar, just looking at the mock drafts. Now, I got to geek out here because last year the Bengals did something crazy and they drafted a kicker in the 5th round. Now, again, I was doing mock drafts and this guy, Matt Ariza, kept coming up, kicker out of Arizona, or excuse me, out of San Diego State. I'm like, why does he keep coming up? Why? Every time I do that, it keeps coming up. So I finally went and looked up his videos. And he is one of the best kickers I've ever seen in my freaking life. And I mean, the way the air he gets under the ball, how far he kicks it, the height, and hell, he goes down and tackles guys himself. what I would love the Bengals to get him in the 5th or 6th round. What is your thoughts on drafting a kicker in the draft period? Some people say you don't do it. Some people say you can. What's your thoughts, and what's your thoughts on Ariza?
So the joke about punters and kickers and long snappers is you never draft them because you can just get an undrafted guy. That's the big argument, right? And the reason for that is there's all these success cases for punters and kickers and long snappers who are undrafted. And that's totally true, but a bit unfair because a vast majority of punters, kickers, and long snappers are undrafted. So, of course, the vast majority of your successes are going to be undrafted guys. That should go without saying, right? The higher profile failures at kickers and punters are guys that were drafted. And the only reason they're high profile is because they were drafted. If they weren't, nobody would ever bat an eye, right? So it gives you this weird false impression that drafting a specialist is a bad idea. If you need a player at a position, draft a player at that position. If you need a gunner for your special teams unit, a vast majority of those guys are undrafted. But if you need one and you find one, go draft him. Go do it. It's perfectly acceptable to draft a position. Day 3, the hit rate on day 3 is poor at every single position. Poor to bad. Right? There is no good hit rate on day 3. So go get a guy you need. The 6th and 7th rounds are dibs on undrafted free agents. Right. That's what it is to me. And I know that sounds disparaging for 6th and 7th round picks, saying, well, they're basically undrafted free agents, right? But they really are. And that's not a knock on the players. It's just an understanding of how draft economy works. Right. I've actually heard Matt Ariza could go as high as day 2, which would be surprising. But like you said, he's got a leg. And
unbelievable.
If he did go day 2, it wouldn't really surprise me. We have seen it before. It doesn't happen often. I think the last one was the kicker out of Florida State that went to Tampa, right? And then the Jaguars had a punter, which was Matt Anger, I think it was, a couple of years back. I think it was round 3. So it has happened in fairly recent memory. It doesn't happen often, probably with good reason. But if your team needs a player for a position, go draft that player. Don't let somebody else draft that player.
Now, question: what are the analytics on a kicker? How do you even evaluate that? I mean, I know it kicks the ball far. Great. I mean, is there other more tactical stuff there than we're even thinking?
There is. I track the physical testing metrics because I do that for everything, and it's a bit of a joke for specialists, but not a haha. We're making fun of them just because. Why not? Right? With the systems in place, we may as well go ahead and track their metrics. Matt Ariza had a 9.49 RAS out of 10. So I don't know if that matters. Probably not. I'm almost certain it means nothing. But it's fun.
Right.
Have some fun with it.
This is what killed me. I actually went to the combine for the first time, and I wanted to see him kick. I was telling my son, I'm like, this is silly, but I'm really excited to see the punters kick. Well, we didn't get in there in time to see it. They had them kick before we even got there. I'm like, oh, crud. I'm like, I want to see them.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff you're really scouting when you're looking at a punter, though, is really in-depth, specific to that specialist unit, because you want to pay attention to how long it takes him to kick from when he gets that ball, whether he takes 2 steps or 3. Nobody takes 3 steps anymore. It's a bad sign if you do. I know being a tall punter can be a negative because it elongates your kick and can make your kick take longer.
Right.
You want to look at a player's hang time, how long the ball is in the air. The distance is fantastic. You want distance, obviously, but you want control too. You don't want to kick it out of bounds, 30 yards downfield, because now you just wasted a good punt.
Right.
It's not necessarily you're going to get a coffin corner kick every time, and those don't even happen all that often anymore.
Right.
It's great when you have a guy that can do it, but you're really looking for control, for hang time, and that's usually indicated by a player's net punting average when you're looking at actual statistics. Not always. It varies by player and the opportunities that they get. Bad teams tend to look like they have good punters because they get to do their job a lot.
Right. They get to punt a lot. Right. Exactly. Well, this has been fun.